Good morning, and thank you for joining for another session of Azure Power Lunch. As you know that we record these calls and place our recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you don't wanna be recorded, you may wanna drop off now. Okay. So today's topic is kind of very demo heavy. It's about how we can scale Kubernetes microservices with KEDA using Azure Prometheus Monitor Prometheus matrix. So just quickly, let's go into. I have a few slides just for the reference. A question, sorry. So let's start with the what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do a quick overview of KEDA. Then we are gonna go about like what are step by step we need to do to enable this scaling and what we are talking about. And then we're gonna do a demo. It's gonna be, as I said, a demo heavy session. Please let anybody in if I'm not paying attention. So thank you. So first of all, KEDA stands for Kubernetes Event Driven Autoscaler. It's a open source project. It allows you to scale your containers based on matrix. They can come from external services, or I mean, there's a number of connectors that are available that you can use to scale it. And what it does is it works alongside with the horizontal pod autoscaler to enhance it kind of. And it's an event-driven scaling. So basically, what it's going to do is it's going to check what's happening, in regards to um, the matrix and events, and based on that, it's going to scale. There are 50 built-in scalers. So it has Azure Function. A number of Azure services are are there that you can use as a basis for this scale out. Okay. And one thing just to keep in mind that the scaling mechanism, it's kind of goes from 0 to n instances and whatever kind of you want you have set up. Okay, and I will go over what specifically we're going to do, but just want to quickly look at the architecture. Basically, what it does is you have a workload that is running, and that workload is scaling up and down. You have set up you kind of a trigger or what we call a scale job that is set up, and scale job monitors. Okay, you have specified a trigger in that, and based on that trigger, it's gonna scale up and scale down your workload. And what is that trigger? That trigger works on that the scaling definition that works on different matrix, and one of them can be Prometheus. Okay, and the reason why I was very interested in this one because as you know, the most of these sessions are based on some customer scenario or some customer use case that you know I could not find like a clear-cut way to do it with Prometheus. I mean, and KEDA add-on. So that's why I wanted to kind of um, do this one to share this with everyone. So hopefully somebody can benefit from it. Okay. And here are some benefits, as you can see here, um, that you can take a look because scaling helps. If you're scaling in and out, you're conserving resources. So that's good for the environment as well. Okay. So let's take a look at the, first of all, let me just move this thing aside. So, what are some of the steps that you have to take? First of all, what I have done is, I mean, and you can use KEDA in multiple ways. You can use the KEDA add-on, or you can use Helm to install open source KEDA. In this scenario, I'm using a KEDA add-on. So what I'm doing is I'm installing an AKS cluster or updating an existing cluster with KEDA add-on, workload identity, and OIDC Assure enable. Okay. Then for my use case, which is a web application. So I'm deploying a very simple web application. I'm sure you have seen it. It's AKS store application. It's a if you are doing a quick start, that application is there. I am using that application, which comes with the app routing add-on um, for AKS. So this is the think of it that app routing add-on and um, this web application is my sample application that I'm using. So I have installed that. Then what we're gonna do is we are gonna enable Manage Prometheus. So I'm using Manage Prometheus for this. So I'm gonna enable Manage Prometheus from a cluster so it can gather all the data. One thing that you will have to do, and I have a link in the end which talks about scraping um, the pods. So remember, not all pods are scraped. Okay, so you just need to keep in mind if you are installing app routing add-on, you need to run a small um, um, uh, a small config map to make sure that all pods are scraped. Okay, and of course you can refine it as you move further, um, and you can say, okay, only those pods are scraped, which kind of deals with my scaling. So in this case, I'm scraping all pods. Okay, that's that because I need data from the pods which are running the app routing add-on, okay, the Nginx controller, okay. Then that's now the magic starts. The magic is you create a managed identity. That's the whole workload identity federation. And if you're not familiar with federation, please look at a previous session. I talked about workload federation. So that's hopefully should give you some idea. So what we are doing is we are going to do a user managed identity, and we are going to give this identity access, reader access, monitor reader access to the um, Azure Monitor. Okay, so it can access it. On the other hand, I'm going to connect it to the KEDA operator role, the service account that is created when you install KEDA on an AKS cluster. So think of it. On one side, it is given access to the um, Azure Monitor. On this side, on the AKS side, it's connected to the service account, and that's how a federated identity is created. Okay, and then you have to just restart the KEDA operator to make sure that federated identity takes into effect. Once that is done, then you deploy the trigger authentication, which ensures what trigger are you using, what authentication your trigger will be using, and then you deploy your scale job, which basically defines how you are going to be scaling your workload, the definition. What will be your Prometheus query? So, what we do is we do it based on a Prometheus query. Just keep in mind it has to return a scalar, a single value. Based on that, you scale. So, enough of me going over the slide. Let's look at the demo. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, and let me go back to the portal. So first of all, this is my AKS cluster. As you can see, this cluster is deployed in North Europe region. And if we look at like what are some of the things that it supports managed, as I said, it supports managed identity. The KEDA add-on is enabled, and it also supports OIDC issuer. So all of these things are set up in this one. Okay. Second thing is let's look at the monitor and let's look at the integration with um, Prometheus. So if we come here, what we have to do is if these checkbox are not checked. Normally they are checkbox here. And the thing is, these things take some minute to go into effect. That's why what we are going to be doing is it's like a baking a cake, and showing the cake directly from the oven kind of thing. So that's what I'm showing. So basically, we're saying manage Prometheus is set up, and I also set up manage Grafana. And these are the link to the manage Prometheus workspace. Okay, and we will go there in a second. But that's how the setup is from the monitoring side. Okay, so let's go into the okay, let's do a control L and this is the shell. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at what are some of the um, pods. And this is my application. It's running in AKS store. And let me show you the application. Let me bring it up so everybody can see it. Um, yeah, to the new window. So basically, this is the application. This is running. Using the app routing add-on to run this application. And as you can see, it's the AKS store and it's running in the AKS store. So we can look what other um, pods are running in AKS store. So if you see here, there are two front-end pods, and then the rest of the pods are some other services which are running in regards to in order to check um, what other second, let me just minimize this thing. Let me just move this thing here. So let's take a look at a few other things that are important, and this is what I'm going to show you here. So this is to verify that all the things that you want to do are enabled. First of all, KEDA is your workload profile, autoscaler that is enabled, security profile. So basically what it is doing is it's looking at your AKS cluster and making sure. So if you are concerned like, okay, if all those things are enabled on my cluster or not, you can try this out. If not, if they are not enabled, then you can run the command. Basically, this is going to be the command to run. I'm not going to run the command. I'm just going to show it to you. Paste. So this is the command to run to set up. Sorry, I did not copy it the right way. Hold on a second. Let me get the right command. Yep. Sorry, guys. Here is the right command. Okay. So this is the one. Basically, what we are saying is, if you, yeah. So this is the one. As you can see here, AZAKS create. Basically, what you're doing, you're enabling workload identity, OID, sure, enable KEDA, enable app routing add-on. Just keep in mind, enable app routing add-on is for my application. That's all there is to it. It's not for anything else. Okay, so that's that. So that's first thing. The second thing we talked about, we deployed our application. So just go through step by step. Then we have created a managed identity. So let's take a look at this managed identity. This is the managed identity that I have created. And that managed identity is a user assigned managed identity. And the another thing that I have done is I have given this identity access to the Azure Monitor workspace. So if we go to the Azure Monitor, this is the log analytics workspace. If we go to access control, and if we look at role assignment, you will see a um, it a second. It takes a second to refresh. Uh, yeah. So what you will see here is all the roles that we have, and this managed identity has the role of so keep going down, monitoring reader. So as you can see here, this is the one, monitoring reader. So it has the monitoring reader role. That's the one that it's kind of using. Got it? So that role is there. That's how, and this is the identity. So this has this particular role. And actually, so and that's very important that you assign that role because without that, this will not work because it has to read the data. Okay. Second thing is that what you have to do is you will have to give the service account, the KEDA operator service account role on basically set up the federation. So these are the federated credential. Okay. So there are a number of federated credential. Let's give it let it come up. So this is the one I am talking about. Hold on a second. Let me refresh it. So basically, you will see the KEDA. I mean, you will see number of federated credential because I was testing different things. But the most important thing is that you will see the KEDA operator service account that we have in the Cube system, and that is tied to here with the. So let's take a look. Yeah. So look at this. This is the KEDA operated service account Cube system. So what it is doing is if we right now, sorry for switching back and forth, let me do a here kubectl get service account namespace cube system. So there are a number of service account, but this is the KEDA operator. This is the service account that you need because that's the one that's doing all the magic, scaling up and down. So that's the one you need. You need to have this federated through workload identity with this user managed identity. Think of it. So this is the cube system, KEDA operator, and uh, let me show you the command to do it. Let's go back here. Um, and by the way, all of that is documented, so you don't have to kind of just look at the recording. I mean, if you look at the yeah, you can look at the recording as well, but you look at the docs, everything there is documented. So you look, that's where I'm linking. I'm saying KEDA operator. Sorry, this namespace is wrong, but this is basically I am setting this account up with this is my workload identity. So this is the ID. This is the federated ID. Sorry, guys. This is the one. You see, um, client ID 9D5. Come back here, 9D5. Ignore AKS store. You should be using it in the Cube system. Okay, so that's that. So once that service account is set up, okay, then this federation is set up. What is next? Okay, let's quickly go back to our slide deck for a second. Then what we need to do is enable the workload identity on the KEDA operator. So what you will have to do is once that is done, you will have to restart. So let me show you the command for that. Yeah, this is the one. Once the pod identities are set up, what you have to do is you will have to redeploy and restart KEDA pods so they can pick up the workload identity. This is the command. You have to do that because that will make sure that these pods have picked up the workload identity as synced. Once that is done, you are good to go. Okay. So now we are getting very close to our objective. And now there are only basically two steps left. One is setting up trigger authentication. Okay, one thing to keep in mind, sorry to sidestep. Remember, you will create your scaled object where your storefront, where your application is running in the same namespace. Okay, otherwise, I have seen some issues. So basically, our application is running in AKS store, okay, in the namespace AKS store. That's where we are gonna go and create our number one, the trigger authentication to make sure what authentication will be used for the trigger. Okay, this is very important. That and the second part is we will create the scale object. So let's first take a look at the trigger authentication. So I'm just gonna do MVIE. So this is gonna be so here is the trigger authentication. As you can see, I am creating it in the um, AKS store. Look, this is the metadata, name, what is the namespace, who is the provider. It has to be Azure workload because we are using workload identity. Identity ID is gonna be your, once again, the client ID of your user managed identity. Identity tenant ID, this is your Azure AD tenant ID. So you can just copy it, paste it, that's it. You run it and it will, the trigger authentication will be there. So we already have that trigger authentication there. So I'm just gonna exit out from here. And then comes the final piece, which is setting up the Prometheus scalar, a scaled object and namespace. So let's take a look at that. Okay. So this is the one. So let's start from the beginning. Number one, metadata, you can name it anything. I just may use this kind of a default name that were in the demo. I can give it foo or whatever that is. Okay, that's my second thing is namespace. Please, it's very important. Namespace should be the same where your workload is running. Okay, then what is the target reference? Target reference is your deployment. So if we go back here, let me see if there is any other um, so let me just sign in here and let me show you kubectl get deployment dash n aks store. Okay, so these are the deployment. I want to scale the front end. You can scale anything, but I want to scale the front end. Right? So that's my goal. So that's what my goal is. So that's why I will be using. So that's why I'm using that deployment. So that's my deployment name. Then the service address. This address, you have to go to your. Okay, so at the time when we are about to test this thing, this the new sign in. Never mind. So you go to your Azure Monitor workspace. Come up. So I'm gonna go in here and give me a second. I'm going to go to Monitor. I just want to show you where this address is coming from. It's not magically appearing from someplace. So this is Prometheus. This is my default Azure Monitor workspace, North Europe. And you will see a URL that is here. This is the one, the query endpoint. That's the one you need to copy. Okay. So once again, we take it and we paste it there. So that's the URL. Then the matrix name. I'm using the Nginx controller request total. Okay. So since there are multiple pods, I'm just using the rate per minute. I mean, this is And by the way, this is Prometheus query, and this 30-minute session is not an extensive resource to go over those. So please ignore it. Um, um, if you want to read more about it, please do. Uh, I'll just explain that what this means is that I am combining. First of all, I'm finding what is the rate of change per minute in the total request. Then I am combining from all Nginx pods. So basically, there are multiple pods that are doing it, and I am saying whenever they go above one, add a new replica count. So basically, it's gonna keep adding one replica count till it is 20 if it is above one. Okay, and look at this. This is the auth reference that we created. I'm using that here. Got it? That's all there is to it. Everything is now set up. Let's take a look at our, and what I'm going to do is I have a very small app. Basically, I'm just using curl to run the load test. So this is, I'm just going to be calling my um, app through this. Okay, so this is running. Let's move it to the side. Let's go in here. And what we're going to do is let's look at, let's watch how many deployments we have. So right now we have, sorry, not deployment, pods. Get pods. Okay, so right now, as you can see, there are two pods running. Okay, so we are building up load, and where you can see this matrix, let's take a look. If we go in here, yes, so Prometheus Explorer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so this is just the uptime. I'm going to copy whatever we were showing here, the scale rule. So this is the scale rule that I have. And I'm going to paste it here. Copy, and let's paste it here. Okay, so let me get it from somewhere else. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. I know we are right on time, but I just want to show it to you. Um, okay, here we go. So this is the one. As you can see, it is showing two. As you can see, it's going up, up, up. And I'm going to do the sum. Okay, so it's above four. Let's see how many. Look at this. You see, initially it has only two pods, but now we have, I mean, more and more pods are coming online because we are scaling. But I mean, this is not a true scaling scenario. I mean, normally you would basically, if you're reading from a queue, the queue is going down. So once, let's say if I stop my kind of a load, like I'm going to stop my script, it will stop creating and then start reclaiming those pods. Those pods will go away and then we will back to the original size, the pods that we have. So think of it from here, we can clearly see that this is the total number of, the rate is um, more than one. So it's continue creating it. As the rate will go down, it will stop disposing of those parts. So that's kind of end to end I wanted to show you. So just kind of quick recap. Let me go back to the slide deck. Just wanted to show how you can use the KEDA add-on, workload identity, and OIDC Assure to scale your workload based on Prometheus matrix. What we have to do is you have to enable Prometheus for your AKS cluster. In this case, I'm using Managed Prometheus. create a managed identity, make sure that the managed identity have appropriate access to your resource, in this case, Azure Monitor. Then make sure you have federation created between the managed identity and the service account used by KEDA operator. Okay, I just showed it to you. And then you have to restart the KEDA operator um, tools so they can get that identity going. Finally, the two steps, you need to set up trigger authentication to make sure appropriate authentication is enabled for trigger to use. And finally, you have to have the scale object which defines the parameter for scaling. Once you do it, it's going to start scaling your workload. Any questions, folks? Okay. So if there are no questions, thank you very much. I know we got a bit over. I hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch and have a wonderful. Yeah, go ahead, Nagesh.
No, I like this session very much, Navid. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it
Yeah,
is too elaborated, but you covered so many concepts within this 30 minutes.
yeah, man.
Thank you.
It's guys. Yeah, it's too much to cover, but I just want to focus on one thing, which is the scaling based on Prometheus. I mean, KEDA we can do like 10 hour sessions. So thank you. Really appreciate it.